So this is just going to be me working through 3 different unit conversion problems. The same 3 we did in class. One thing I notice is that a lot of people don't really understand how to get the starting point. So normally if you see a question mark, the sentence with the question mark tells you what you're trying to do. And what you're trying to do determines where you start. This question says there are 4 inches in a hand. It's the way that they measure horses. 1 yard is 36 inches. How many hands are there in a football field? Which is 120 yards if you count the end zones, which I do. So you want to know how many hands, that's where you have to end, are there in 120 yards. That's where you have to start. You always get the starting point from the question they ask, not from the equalities they give up here. So I'm going to start with 120 yards. And I want you to notice that I wrote this y down right here. This I wrote. I didn't just write 120. It's important to know it's 120 yards because that tells me the fraction that I write next. Now hopefully you remember from the PowerPoint, I have a times a fraction. At the end, at the bottom, I need yards because that's what I want to get rid of. So I need to look up here in my equalities for something that has a yards in it. And look, here's the word yard right there. 1 yard is 36 inches. Great. I got a yard on the top, yard on the bottom. Sorry I had to pause for a second there. I make these at school. They did an announcement. Anyway, I have a yard on the top, yard on the bottom. They'll cancel out, right? Now what I have to deal with is inches. And I don't want to end with inches. I want to end with hands, right? Because of this thing. So I need another fraction. A fraction with inches on the bottom and hands on the top. I can get that with this fact right here. Look at that. 4 inches in a hand. So 1 hand is 4 inches. That means that my answer is 120 times 36 divided by 4. I do that on a calculator. So 120 times 36 divided by 4. And I get that the answer is 1,080. 1,080 hands. Let's do another one. I want to know that if I have two Olympic swimming pools, how many liters does that take me to fill it all the way up? So, like before, I start with a question mark. It tells me where I start with 2 Olympic swimming pools. So 2 Olympic swimming pools. 2 OSPs. I'm not even going to start looking at this information up here. I already know I need a fraction with Olympic swimming pools on the bottom. So I look up here at my remaining facts, and only one of them talks about Olympic swimming pools. One of them is 2,500 meters cubed. Meters cubed. And I don't forget this unit right here. It's important to write down because it lets me know that my next fraction has a meters cubed on the bottom before I even start looking. But now that I know what I'm looking for, I can start looking up here. So 1 meter cubed is 1,000 liters. So now I have 2, let me get my highlighter, 2 times 2,500 times 1,000, which is going to be 5 million. 5 million liters in 2 Olympic swimming pools. To fill it up with Coke bottles, it would cost you a ton of money. I'm not going to calculate that, but I could using this exact same process. Okay, finally. You might have heard the word parsec and light year before, and you don't know what they mean. They're ways to measure distances in space. Really huge distances. Maybe I'll talk about it more in class later. So, you remember, we figure out where to start by looking at the question they're asking. We want to know how many parsecs there are in a galaxy. So we start with 1 galaxy. That's what we know and what we want to know things about. So 1 galaxy. Okay. Using the method, I have galaxies on the bottom before I even start looking at the sentences, and now I want to find one with galaxies. And hey, look, right there. 1 galaxy is 100,000 light years. I found it. So 1 galaxy, 100 100,000 light years. Now I have the same thing on the top and the bottom. They cancel out. There you go. There you go. I actually forgot to do that up here, so I might as well scribble it. Meters cubed. Meters cubed. Anyway, they're on the top and the bottom. They cancel out. So now I have light years. I know I need that on the bottom of the next fraction, times some amount of light years. So I look for the fraction that has light years, and it's right here. Look. 1 parsec is 3.2 light years. So I put the 3.2 down here with the light years, the 1 parsec, and I have my equation, because light years cancel. And now all I have is parsecs, which is what I want. So I have right here 1 times 100,000 divided by 3.2. So 100,000 divided by 3.2 gives me 31,250 parsecs. So to summarize what I was doing, I figured out what I started with. I got it from the question, so look for the question mark. Then I found a fraction with the unit I started with on the bottom. I just repeat that over and over again until I reach the end. And I only use each fact once. In this class, we're only going to use each fact once. You can do more in the real world, but don't think about it. Hope that was helpful.